young man sat at his desk with his head in his hands. He was tired, and he had never had this much trouble writing anything before. Then again, he had never worked on a document this important before. He sighed, picked up his quill, and began yet again. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. With those words, former President Thomas Jefferson captured not only the cry of his day, but the true heart of America. Today, these same principles are coming under attack. While many may find this fact to be depressing, I believe it should actually encourage us to fight for a restoration of these fundamental principles of American thought. Today, we will be examining the importance of and the attack on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life is the most foundational of our God-given rights. As renowned philosopher Frederick Bastiat astutely pointed out, life is that right which encompasses all the rest. I believe we have a moral obligation to fight for the protection of life, specifically the lives of those who cannot protect themselves. In 1973, our nation saw a major regression in the fight to protect innocent life. That year, the Supreme Court ruled in Roe v. Wade that states could not prevent access to an abortion. Since that time, an estimated 62,502,904 abortions have been executed. In 2019, 1 out of every 6 babies conceived fell victim to abortion. This is truly the greatest attack on life that we have seen in many, many years. However, it is not merely life which is coming under attack, but also that which makes life worth living. When our founders developed our form of government, they were well aware of different types of governmental abuses that could occur. In order to prevent these abuses, they adopted the Bill of Rights. But this is actually something of a misnomer. Rights are given by government. Liberties are guaranteed by God. When our founding fathers were developing the Bill of Rights, they actually recognized several of our fundamental God-given liberties and took action to protect them. Today, there's an assault against these same liberties. Sure, you have the freedom of speech, unless, of course, you want to spread dangerous misinformation. You see, you have the right to own a firearm for the purpose of self-defense, unless you actually use it to defend yourself. Just ask Kyle Rittenhouse. The list goes on and on. In the past few years, we have seen an egregious encroachment on our fundamental God-given liberties. But where exactly did this encroachment begin? I would contend that it started with a distortion of the pursuit of happiness. When Thomas Jefferson advocated for our pursuit of happiness, he had a very different definition in mind than that from positive psychology. Quote, happiness is equated with feeling pleasure, end quote. No, Jefferson likely would have had a similar view on happiness as the philosopher Aristotle. Namely, that there's a certain type of proper happiness, or a flourishing, that requires us to rein in our common passions and pleasures. Our founding fathers understood that happiness could not be unbounded. That was why former President Adams wrote, quote, our government was made only for a moral and religious people, end quote. These great minds throughout history recognized that happiness had to be directed by a moral compass. Contrast that with the contemporary view of happiness, that it is simply pleasure and that it must be pursued beyond any other goal. What this type of reasoning ultimately leads to is a corrosion of the very concept of truth. You ask how a nation gets to the place to where it devalues life and disregards liberty? Simple. It defines happiness in such a way as to make us question whether any truths are really self-evident. Now, I understand that much of the news I've shared today has been rather depressing, so allow me to leave you with a few words of hope. Already, we are seeing major breakthroughs in many of these areas. Just last summer, Texas passed their version of a heartbeat bill and saw a 60% reduction in abortions over the course of 1 month. And as many as 26 other states are set to follow their lead. The courts are deciding to uphold our God-given liberties, as we saw in the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse and in the recent striking down of the Biden administration's vaccine mandate on large companies. Our nation's future is full of promise and hope. So today, I would encourage each and every one of you to stand firm on the principles upon which this great nation was founded. The principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you, and it's been an honor speaking to you today.